I don't know. I honestly don't know. I made a video. It was called "The Only Way I Can Destroy My Hair Loss YouTube Channel Is to Stop Talking About Hair Loss." Andrew Moss left a comment, and it's challenging me. Quote, "There's a bit of a contradiction with what you say. You said that you were never bothered by hair loss in this video, but in others you imply that you were by saying that you've been there. Surely you were bothered when you were in your late teens. I certainly was. I thought the whole thing was going to disappear in 2 or 3 year period because I had seen it happen to several people," end quote. Talking about how when hair loss starts showing the first signs, some guys just go bald quickly after that. Whereas for me, technically my hairline's been receding to some degree since I was 18, and you've seen what my hair looks like in all the other videos. I refuse to take off this hat in this video because I have the power. I'm Nick Shell. I get to do whatever I want to do, and I rule you. Oh wait, that's Naughty Nick. That's a preview of Naughty Nick coming out of me. That's the script that I've got going on. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, hair loss bothering me. First of all, am I bothered by hair loss? And how bothered was I in my youth? Is really what I'm trying to explore here. Some people will say that have been watching my videos for years now, because this channel, I've been doing these, 2 or 3 videos a day for like pretty much right at a solid 3 years. So that's why I have some, thousands of videos on this channel about that. I've been faithful to make those videos as people have been faithfully obsessed on the topic itself. Me feeding that for them, me providing those videos that they need to watch. Some people had said in my earlier videos about hair loss, I actually truly was bothered, and I even admitted it. See, if you go way back, I used to make videos at work and I'd come out of this giant tunnel. So if you've seen those, supposedly back in those days, I appeared to be bothered by hair loss. In my mind, I never was. If you ask me, and of course, why do I make these videos? To make money. I make money off the ads, and it's one of my side jobs. And I enjoy just the challenge of it too. I enjoy the psychological challenge of making these videos. It's fun to interact with people on this subject. So I have fun doing it. It's like a hobby, but it's a hobby that makes me money. And Nick Shell teaches, only have hobbies that make you money. All of my hobbies make me money, and most of them make me money in my sleep, and that's why I like them. But when was I actually bothered by hair loss? I mean, I'd have to go back, not to high school. I wasn't worried about high school, but I started noticing it in college. I started noticing my hairline starting to go up and Norwood 2 kicking in. And I knew for a fact that I would get a hair transplant by the time I was in my 30s, and I'd be the dad that, married 2 kids, live in the suburbs, which yes, is my life. But as I'd be balding, I'd get a hair transplant to stop it. Because why do you have to end up being the balding guy? Why do you have to start getting overweight and out of touch? Well, I'm doing my best to keep my weight, where it needs to be. But, now, but I definitely don't care about going bald. I fully embrace it. And good thing for me, when I lose enough hair, then I'll have no choice but to shave my head, and then I get to fully embrace that look, which is what I prefer anyway. But did I care? Did I? See, the thing is, if we go back to the same point in history where I was the most concerned about hair loss, we're looking at a time when I had bigger concerns than hair loss. I did. I was more because also, like in my college years, I was bothered by my height, because most guys stop growing between ages 18 and 21, and I've been 5'9" basically since 8th grade. And I thought, this is my last time to grow. Not that 5'9" is short, but can I at least be 5'10" and a half? Can I at least be more average? Even though I'm not that much, but can I at least, if I was obsessed about anything, I guess you could say that. The internet was still fairly new, and I bought these like soles for your shoes, like from China, using these ancient things to put pressure on a certain bone and makes your feet grow, it makes your whole body grow because that's triggered. I guess you could say I was more obsessed with that. I don't know, like meeting my wife, that was a thing that I cared about a lot then. I met my wife when she and I were, what, 25? So it would still be years later. Now I've been married 10 years to her. But I can't really say that I was truly ever bothered by hair loss. I was bothered. I could think of a lot more things. I had fears of, will I actually graduate college? Because at first, wow, I just didn't know what I was going to do. I ended up graduating with an English degree, and what will I do for a living? Actually, I was very much into trying to make it as a musician. And that's why some of my videos, you actually see me playing guitar or hear music in the background. That's really what I wanted to do when I moved to Nashville. Instead, I accidentally ended up becoming a recruiter right out of college, which is still what I do today. I make great money doing it. So it's like, well, if I knew that I could make money and have a following off of doing my songs on YouTube, I would. But it doesn't compare to the obsession people have about hair loss. So I become the elected host of these things. And I think that's what messes with people, is that they hear me do all these videos about hair loss, so they assume that naturally either I am obsessed or I was at one point. But I gotta say, fear of going bald, I can't even say that it was ever in my top 5 concerns at any point in my life. I do remember in college, though, I made like 3 demo CDs, and one of them had a line in there talking about the opening line. I think the song said, "I decided today to start losing my hair." And I wrote that song when I was 23. So even at age 23, I was recognizing, okay, I'm going bald, and I just, as a joke, I'm like, well, I decided today, as if it was my choice, because obviously it wasn't. I think you can go all the way back to when I was 23, and now I'm 27, so what, 14 years ago? Remember, I have an English degree, so math is hard for me. 14 years ago, even then, I was still kind of doing what I do here on this channel, and that's making a joke out of it, because that shows the confidence, which confidence is what you actually need anyway. If you're going to be losing your hair, confidence is the thing that you need, and that's why older men that went bald young, they survived it because they relied on confidence, not something as superficial as hair growing out of their head, which they have no control over because it's genetics. I mean, I can make a 10-minute video talking about how I'm not bothered by hair loss, and I never really was. But I think ultimately what's going to happen is, because in my mind that's the truth. In my mind, I only make these videos because I make money, it helps people, and I enjoy it. It's just a fun thing for me psychologically, like I said earlier. It's not because I specifically am myself worried about it. In my version of reality, I never was that worried about it. I think what happens, I think part of the illusion is I'm a really good communicator. I can make a whole YouTube channel about hair loss in the same way I've made a whole YouTube channel about DNA test results and ethnicity and race. Family Friendly Daddy Blog. I mean, that channel makes me half the amount of money as this one with only a quarter of the subscribers. I mean, people really, so I just learn what people are obsessed with, and I use my gift of communication and empathy, and I do that. And I think ultimately, are you familiar with method actor? Are you familiar with that? If not, Google it. It's when an actor, they have their role in their movie, and they completely study that. Like if whether Robert De Niro playing a cop or whatever it is, he puts himself in that role so much that he becomes the character. And actually, Jim Carrey did that for the movie Man on the Moon when he was playing Andy. He became that person. That's what actors do. Really, when you dumb it down, that's what I do. I'm a method actor who caters to a group of men who will always be obsessed with hair loss. That demographic will always exist. And I make so many videos about it, and I seem knowledgeable. That's why people say, well, if you think you're such a hair loss expert, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just a YouTuber that knows how to make money on the side. That's all I am. So I think maybe to some degree people have to assume that I'm obsessed with hair loss. But I don't know. And I don't want to say no that I'm not and no that I never really cared about it, because that would indicate that I'm living in some kind of illusion, and I don't want to ever imply that. But if you're asking me honestly, I don't care. I could make a YouTube channel about anything because I'm that good at communicating. And I've proven that with my second channel. But my guess is, if I were to say, why don't you tell me in the comments whether you think I'm obsessed with hair loss, I think most people would say that I am. And because I'm very aware of identity protective cognition, I would know not to argue with them because it would only reinforce what they already believe. But I think most people think that part of me is obsessed, or really was. But man, I can tell you, back in my early 20s when I had less of an identity and knew who I was more concerned about a lot of other things. But for me, hair loss just wasn't in the top 5. All right, time for you to tell me that I'm wrong and that I really do care about hair loss and that I used to care about it even more. Go ahead, tell me about it right here.